You know what? I sucked when I started copywriting, but that's okay because you might not be good at copywriting, and hey, I did okay and you can do okay too. And I want to help you do okay by revealing the 3 mistakes that I made when I was a beginner copywriter that, in hindsight, I really didn't have to make. Number 1. Not editing harshly enough. We all like to be quite easy on ourselves because guess what? We tend to like ourselves. That's actually a bad idea when you're starting out. You will think that everything you write is God's gift to the earth and that you are such an amazing writer by having written 3 paragraphs already, and you're steaming through it and maybe you'll make a few edits as you go, but you'll think, wow, what a great copywriter I am. No, you aren't. I was terrible, and I only know that now looking back at my work. And the main reason was I didn't edit harshly enough. I wouldn't actually look back at my work once I finished it. I may read through it a few times to stoke my own ego, but I wouldn't actually look at it critically. And there are a few things that you can do to help with this. Number 1 is just getting used to killing your baby. Now, if you're a new parent, don't take that advice. But if you're a copywriter who doesn't have any kids, take that advice to heart. You've got to get used to killing your baby because even though you love what you've written, other people aren't necessarily going to. They're only going to love it if it's relevant to them. So the first thing you need to do is take a step back, have a serious conversation with yourself and ask, do I like this just because I wrote it? And an easy way to find out if that's true is imagining you're someone else, thinking if, okay, I'm the target audience here, am I going to care about this fluff, this sentence structure at the beginning, or am I just going to want the information? Number 2, don't get stuck in the content writer trap of just going with the flow when you're writing. I am not saying anything against content writers. I started as a content writer, but when you're a content writer, especially when you're writing blogs and articles, there is more of a tendency to just kind of start writing and continue writing and maybe go back and edit every now and then, but you look back and you're fairly happy with it. That's actually a big no-no when you're a copywriter who is trying to make something that has a very clear action at the end. If you're just writing for the sake of it and going with the flow, it's likely that you're not going off of a plan that you already have in place. So make sure you've got the research down, set some beats for yourself to hit during your writing, and continuously check that you're staying on track with that plan. If you're not, then there's a chance you're just writing to no one and doing it because you like how it's sounding. And the last thing to do when you're editing and making sure you're editing harshly enough is read your copy out loud. It is such a game changer. It sounds so simple, and you may be saying, but Alex, surely reading it in my head is fine, right? No, it really isn't, because when you're reading it in your head, you're reading it as you've written it. Because you know what you've written, you understand where the different parts of grammar come into play. When you actually read it out loud, what happens in your brain is forced to read it again because you have to think about vocalizing it. When you do that, you will find yourself tripping up and coming to awkward stops and realizing something doesn't make sense and being like, oh wait, I'm repeating the exact same thing I just repeated, or I'm not repeating this enough and this wasn't clear enough. I need to talk about it again. All of these things will come up, and this isn't a whole video on copywriting tactics and techniques. There's plenty of those in the channel. Go and subscribe and check them out. But if you read out loud, you're gonna find yourself coming to the conclusion of, oh man, this could be written a lot more clearly and there's a lot of fluff here that just doesn't need to be there. You're not editing harshly enough right now. Go back over your copy, take a step back, look at it, pretend to be someone else, and seriously scrutinize what you've written. Chances are you just like it because you wrote it. The second mistake that I made a lot as a beginner is I didn't listen to the market. You need to listen to the people who you are writing to. When you're writing, you're not writing for yourself, you're writing for someone else. Oftentimes when you're a beginner, you don't quite understand that. You need to make sure that you've done enough research on the people you're trying to convince. And you do that research by going to the places that they hang out online and listening to what they say. If they are talking about the same stuff over and over again, or they're having the same problems, or they're wanting the same things, then you should be talking about those things in your copy, not what you think they should want. If you're writing about something that they have never mentioned, or there is no link to anything they've ever talked about before, then likelihood is the market just aren't going to care. So the second thing to keep in mind, and the biggest mistake I made, is make sure you listen to your market, because if you're not doing that, then your copy just isn't going to reflect what people actually want. And if it's not reflecting what people actually want, then no one's going to listen to you. Go out there, do the research, and make sure you can see that research in your writing. So number 2, make sure you listen to the market. And number 3, believing that I wasn't ready for clients. I spent a good year before I even started to get a client, before I tried to get clients. That was a big mistake. I could have done it a lot sooner, and I only realized that now looking at juniors who come through and they've only been doing it for a few months and they're already making money, and also realizing that once you know a little bit about copywriting, it is possible to give those services to others because they don't know anything. You're gonna have this fear at the moment. If you're a beginner, you're gonna have this paralysis where you just want to read books, you just want to learn, you just want to go through as many copywriting courses as possible, you just want to listen to schmucks like me online. You need to get out of that phase. It's still helpful to refer to those things and to make sure it's matching up to what you're writing and to constantly improve, but never use that as an excuse to not prospect. If you're not using it in your own business, if you're not using it to make money in some way, then you may as well not be practicing it at all. Yes, you are not a good copywriter right now, but don't worry about it. No one is a good copywriter when they start, but thankfully you can start tomorrow. You can start pitching people. You can start reaching out and having a go. There is almost an infinite number of clients out there that you can pitch to. So even if you fail with a few, even if you annoy some of them, there are loads of others out there. Your reputation at this stage is not critical. You just need to get experience. That's the most important thing for you right now. Once you've gone through a guide or two, you've read a book or two, start prospecting. You're going to get better, and you're going to get better a lot more quickly if you're also prospecting and taking on small projects and failing. I promise you. I wish I would have started earlier on because I could have got to this stage perhaps even a year sooner than I did. If those months are critical for you right now, if you feel you need to make money and you really want to get into this copywriting, then don't delay, start. If you need some help with it, that's what we're here for. If you head over to copythatshow.com/how to start copywriting, there is an entire free guide on how you can, 1, learn copywriting through videos like these, but 2, how you can prospect and find clients and build a portfolio for yourself and not make a fool of yourself when you approach people. It's not going to be perfect straight away, but it's going to be a hell of a lot better than 90% of people out there, because most people either never start, or when they do start, they don't really try. So if you're putting a little bit of effort into it and you're actually getting the needle moving, you're going to be in a much better position than everyone else who's watching this video right now. So there you go. Those were the 3 biggest mistakes that I made when I was a beginner. And when I look back at those right now, I realize I could have remedied them pretty easily. There are a bunch of other mistakes that you will make, and maybe I could talk about in this video, but those 3 are the ones that are the easiest to solve. It's just a case of sitting back and looking at what you've done, or actually taking a bit of action. Believe me, I see a lot of beginners, a lot of newbies, a lot of juniors, and most of them make these mistakes, and most of them, unfortunately, never unmake these mistakes. So if you don't want that to be you, take this to heart and remedy it. Thanks for watching.